Sound is live, and we are live. All right. Welcome to another edition of the MMA Degenerates. I am the MMA Degenerate. Today we're going to be looking at UFC 265 and looking ahead to the PFL Playoffs. So let's begin. First of all, before we begin, actually, please do me a big favor, punch that subscribe button, punch that like button. Let's share that stuff. You know, like as Matthew McConaughey would say, these are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers up. So let's get it. Let's get to it. All right, we had UFC 265, Lewis versus Gane. All right, yeah. And by the way, Ryan will not be joining us today, but he will be back next week. All right, so we had, let's start from the top and go down below. So we had Ciryl Gane versus Derrick Lewis. A great fight. Derrick Lewis looked in great shape. He looked like he was ready to fight. He looked like he was ready to go out on his shield. And he seemed a little apprehensive, but he still did put forward, some good offense. However, Ciryl Gane actually was just too good for him. He's a Muay Thai champion. He might only be 9-0, but he has 20 Muay Thai fights, about 10 amateur fights in MMA. So we shouldn't just base it on the 9 professional fights. Yes, he has the 9 professional fights, but he also has those amateur fights, and that should mean something. He used his great stand-up. He used great Muay Thai, his kicks, his elbows, his knees. He bullied Derrick Lewis around. I mean, Ciryl Gane is a specimen, so yes, he's going to bully him. He's going to beat him up. All right, and he just did a great job. He caught him, and Derrick Lewis seemed to step on his ankle wrong or his foot wrong, and you could see the look in his eyes. He was like, oh, crap, what just happened? So he just got completely immobile. He was still walking around, but you could tell something was wrong with his legs. And Ciryl Gane just saw it, and he attacked. And that's just great fight IQ. He has great fight IQ, just for being 9-0, well, now 10-0. I think he's going to do good. He's going to fight, for instance, Ngannou, and I think he's going to be champion. If not now, in a year or two, a few years. So the future's bright for this kid. Now we had Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz. Jose Aldo's boxing looked amazing. He's known for his kicks, but he used his boxing to great effect tonight. Pedro came forward and he really tried, but Jose Aldo's form was too good. He mixed in the body shots beautifully. Pedro just couldn't get his rhythm going. Pedro's a guy, he likes to come forward. He likes to, bring it to the person. But he couldn't do so against Aldo. And Aldo just beat him up for 3 rounds. In that 3rd round, he came out strong. Now, the only thing I didn't like from Aldo was that he didn't use the leg kicks. And those leg kicks are Aldo's bread and butter. Now, Aldo's not super old. He's been fighting it seems like forever, but he's been fighting since a young age. So he's only in his 30s, I believe, and he still has a lot of steam. He can move forward. He can get another title. However, I think maybe health issues, because he's been kicking so long, it hurts your foot. And maybe he hurt his foot, and now when he kicks, maybe it hurts too much. So that could be why. I'm not sure, but I would really like Aldo to start using those kicks more. He did so in the end, but he really should have, followed through more. He could have even got a finish if he started those leg kicks earlier. But I digress. All right. Vicente Luque versus Michael Chiesa. This was the main highlight of this main card. The card was good, but these guys really put a stamp on the card. Vicente Luque came out. He was switching stances, showing Michael Chiesa different looks, and Michael Chiesa got a little confused, but I feel that he tried to be something he wasn't. He was trying to move around. He was trying to, be elusive and then go for the takedown, and he did, and he got the takedown. However, he underestimated Vicente Luque. They had a scramble. Vicente got out on top, and he just tapped him out with a great Darce choke. It was a great fight. And Vicente Luque, he is definitely going to be fighting a top contender soon for sure. All right. We have Tecia Torres versus Angela Hill. Now, this was a good fight. Angela, I've heard she's been doing a lot of training. I don't know about in Thailand, but in Muay Thai in general. And so she came in fighting, with a Muay Thai stance, plodding forward, throwing leg kicks, throwing strikes, really squared up so she can catch the kicks. But Tecia Torres was too fast. She was too elusive, and she was able to use her striking to great effect. Ticia's striking has gotten better for sure. But she was able to just beat her in the stand-up, and Angela just couldn't get her rhythm going. It's a lot like the Jose Aldo Pedro Munoz fight, except for Tecia threw more kicks. That's the only difference. So it was a good fight in general. And then we had the Song Yadong fight versus Casey Kenney. Song Yadong beat Casey Kenney by unanimous decision. It was a good fight. Casey just seemed like he was holding back. I don't know. It seemed like he was pulling his punches. Maybe he didn't want to get tired like he did in the Dominic Cruz fight. Even Daniel Cormier alluded to the fact that he got mad. Casey Kenney got mad at Daniel Cormier for saying his cardio wasn't that good in the Dominic Cruz fight. So that he was always a little too late. He would throw, Song would get out of the way, and he would counter him really well. So it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. Not going to be fight of the night, but it was still action from post to post. I enjoyed it. Now, the prelims, the early prelims especially, is where this card shined. There was a flying knee knockout. There was a great KO. And there was a good submission. And the highlight of the prelims was the Rafael Fiziev versus Bobby Green fight. This was a fun fight. Rafael Fiziev just beat down Bobby Green for 2 rounds using just fundamental striking, great striking, kicks and punches and elbows. But he got tired in that 3rd round, and Bobby Green came forward, and he put it to him. But it was too little, too late. Bobby Green's a slow starter. He's a lot of times on the bad end of decisions because he just doesn't start fast enough. And he needs to start faster. But, Fiziev, he looked amazing, and I really hope he gets a good opponent next. All right, so, the Vincent Morales-Draco Rodriguez fight was pretty good. The Alonzo Menefield-Ed Herman fight was pretty good. Ed Herman showed he's a good veteran, and he shows he has a chin because Alonzo Menefield hit him with some good shots, but he just couldn't get past him. And Alonzo Menefield showed that he actually has cardio. Alonzo Menefield is big and buff and muscular, but he had some cardio issues, and he showed even in the 3rd round he wasn't that tired. He could still bring it to Ed Herman, so this was a good moral victory for Alonzo Menefield for sure. All right. And Jessica Pena versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Great fight, short fight. Kowalkiewicz, she just is on a bad run. She's like 6-0, I believe. 0-6, I believe. She's not doing well, unfortunately, or 0-5, one of those. So Jessica just caught her with a great armbar. It was great transitions. And even like Karolina was actually almost going to step over and get out of the armbar. And then Jessica grabbed her by the leg and did a kind of like a switch where she flipped her over. And then she was able to get her on the ground and get that armbar and tap her out. And she looked like she broke her arm. Like it was a nasty looking armbar. All right. So that's all for UFC 265. Now, let's go to our next segment. What's next? So, for Cyril Gane, he's obviously going to fight Francis Ngannou. That's an obvious. Dana White said in the post-fight, that's the fight to make next. I think Derrick Lewis should fight Stipe Miocic because Stipe is ranked. Yeah, he's ranked number 1. Derrick Lewis is number 2. And Derrick Lewis might go down to number 3, but there's no one else. You know, he's not going to fight Volkov. I think Volkov's fighting. Rosenstruck is fighting. He's not going to fight anyone below the top 5. That's just not going to happen. So the only fight is Stipe. I mean, unless Derrick Lewis wants to take some time off. And if he does, you know, more power to him. That's great. All right, so for Jose Aldo, let's look in the bantamweight rankings. So Jose Aldo is number 5. Corey Sandhagen just lost. Rob Font lost. TJ Dillashaw is the only one that he could fight, but they're probably going to give him a title shot. I'm not even going to lie. Cody Garbrandt's going up to down to 125. He fought Marlon Moraes. That might be a good fight. You know, it was a highly contested decision. Maybe you want to run it back. That'd be dope. But I don't see that happening. And I guess, you know, Rob Font or Corey Sandhagen, even though they're coming off losses, those are 2 good fights, 2 fun fights. Jose Aldo wants a title shot or TJ Dillashaw. I don't see either happening. So I'm not sure. All right. Let's go back. All right, Vicente Luque. All right. This guy, he needs to fight a top 5 dude ASAP. Or, you know, maybe for the title. Because Kamaru Usman did say that he'd be seeing him down the road or something like that. So, let's see. Stephen Thompson looks like a good fight. That might work. Leon Edwards might work. Gilbert Burns might work. Any of these would work. So, I mean, Stephen Thompson said he doesn't want to fight anyone below him, and he's only going to be ranked 1 below him. So I think Stephen Thompson might say the okay, because Dana White's really high on this kid. He likes this kid. So if Vicente Luque beats a top 5 dude, he's going to fight for the title. Or he could be a stand-in for the title. You know, Dana White would do that. All right. Tisha Torres. Oh, sorry, Michael Chiesa. So Michael's going to go down to 6. I mean, Neil Magny maybe. Bilal Muhammad would be a good fight. Those would be some good ones. Jorge Masvidal is not going to fight him. He said he's only fighting money fights and title shots. So forget about that. That's definitely not going to happen. So yeah, I think Bilal Muhammad would be a good fight. Bilal had a really crappy, you know, fight where he was getting beat up by Leon Edwards and he gets poked so hard in the eye that he can't barely see. So maybe if he's not injured, Neil Magny maybe. Jeff Neal is a little far down the list. I mean, for Chiesa, but and he's coming off a win. But Michael Chiesa will be number 6. If they ask Jeff Neal, I'm sure he would say, hell yeah, I'll do that. Plus, he complains he wants to fight more anyway. So that might be a good one to put together. All right, and Tisha Torres. So Tisha is what division? All right, here. She is 125. So Michelle Watterson or Claudia Gadelha would be a great fight. Michelle Watterson's doing a movie right now, so I don't know if she would be able to fight. Maybe. I haven't seen pictures of it recently on her Instagram, so maybe she's done. So maybe Michelle Watterson, but Claudia Gadelha, those would be 2 good fights. Steps up in competition, then maybe, she can get up into the top 5 and beat some women there. That'd be nice. So in Angela Hill, she should fight Amanda Ribas for sure, because Amanda Ribas just lost pretty badly to Marina, and Angela Hill lost. So 2 coming off a loss. They're right next to each other in the rankings. Match made in heaven, in my opinion. So Amanda Ribas would be a good one for Angela. You'll really see where they're at, mentally speaking. All right, we have Song Yadong, and let's see what we can do with Song over here. So Song would probably, well, he's not even ranked. So, I mean, maybe fight another unranked guy. He looked good. So if you want to throw him a bone, maybe Cody Stamann or Marlon Vera, those would be, some nice fights to do. Fun fights. And Casey Kenney, just fight another unranked guy. He lost to an unranked guy, so there's no point in making it, like that. Okay, let's see. So I know he's not in the main card, but Rafael Fiziev, he needs a top 15 dude. He really does. He's been fighting these unranked dudes. He's been beating them up, and Bobby Green is a good test, a good veteran. So Thiago Moises, he just lost, so maybe they don't want to put him up against Thiago, but Arman won, and I think that would be a great fight. Don't know too much about Arman, but hey, if Rafael Fiziev is going to fight, I'll watch it. And plus, it's a ranked 14 guy. It's a good step up. You don't want to throw him to the wolves right away. You want to give him a top 15 dude, a top 10 dude, top 12 dude, and then go from there. Yeah, that's good. All right. So let's get into some news. So Dana White says mandatory COVID vaccines are not going to happen in the UFC. That's good. That's really good. You shouldn't have to force anyone to do what they don't want to do. If they want to get the vaccine, they get the vaccine. It'd be nice if everyone got the vaccine, but, whatever. That's up to them. I'm not here to judge. So he says, I will never tell another human being what to do with their body. When speaking with TSN, if you want to get vaccinated, that's up to you. That's your choice. You're never going to hear me say, I'm going to force people to get vaccinated. Never going to happen. Yeah, and it's up to the fighter. If they don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. They might get COVID. They'll get COVID anyway because it doesn't fully, protect you against COVID. It just protects against symptoms, makes it not as bad. So it's up to the players, the fighters, what they want to do. And that might put the fight at 265 into jeopardy because for live events, you need to be vaccinated or they're announcing plans for that. So hopefully it won't come before UFC 268 because that fight card's shaping up to be a great fight card. I don't want it to get messed up. I don't want it to, to go away, to get shitty. So he is saying he would hold it elsewhere. He said in the interview, the post-fight press conference for UFC 265, he's like, Texas and Florida are the easiest places to do fights. So if it doesn't work out in New York, they'll move it to Florida or Texas. Hey, that's great. Good for them. All right, let's move on. Francis Ngannou rips Dana White's interim title belt explanation. Says it's been radio silence from the UFC. And Dana White had something to say about this in the post-fight press conference. He said, yeah, there's nothing to talk about because he didn't want to fight. So they did this. Oh, well, it happens, I'm not a big fan of this interim belt. I think it was just a ploy by the UFC because they needed Derrick Lewis to sell tickets, to sell out the arena. Hometown guy fighting for the title. That's like a storybook right there. So Dana White just said, I don't like him. We'll try to make him happy. He said, I heard something from Dana today, like it's going to be the IBF title and the WBC title where it's united. And it's no, there's no unified title. It's one promotion, one belt, the UFC belt. It's not like a different name like the PFL. It's coming to challenge the UFC. Then we talked about unifying the belt. And I was there expecting that they just come up with some sort of interim title. That was very surprising because in the past, we didn't get an interim title because Stipe wasn't active and they didn't even consider that at all. I'm at the point where when it comes to me, nothing good is coming my way, it looks like. They aren't making anything good come my way. It's okay, but I think at this point regarding my last run, I deserve at least some respect as the UFC champion. I've been down, I know my low time, and I faced it. So we were quite surprised about it. It was just 2.5 months after I won the fight. In the past month, there was so much pressure. At this time, I shouldn't be surprised anymore about anything. At the end of the day, I'm the UFC champion of the world. I'm still the champion. It's not like somebody give it to me. I earned it. That's my title. It's my title. They are doing now, what they are doing now out there, it doesn't matter to me. If somebody says, I don't want to fight, they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, it's not, I mean, I totally understand Francis. He's not, he's not getting respect from the UFC. The only thing that I would have to say is, he's right about saying that, look, I only fought 2.5 months ago. Yeah, that's true. Now it's a little longer than that. I think it's like 4 or 5 months, maybe a little less. But still, Stipe went on runs where he didn't defend the belt for over 6 months, and they didn't do anything about it. I mean, yes, Stipe is the best heavyweight champion ever, defending it more times than anyone ever. So, yeah, but they did blackball him too by saying he couldn't get a rematch. The only thing I would say is that Francis is the champion for sure. The interim belt doesn't mean shit, to be honest. But he's not like Stipe. He doesn't have multiple defenses. So pretty much, I feel he's got to play ball until he racks up a few title defenses. After that, he can say, go F yourself, blah, blah, blah. I don't need this. I've defended him more than Stipe. I've done this. I've done that, blah, blah, blah. So get some laurels, and then you can, swing your dick around pretty much. All right, so he says he's heard nothing. It's been radio silence. Hopefully they don't come out like, oh, you're fighting this day. And then I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And they're like, oh, he doesn't want to fight. So I won't do that again, because apparently they are really good at that type of thing, or this type of thing. So Ngannou says he's not just looking for play around. He's like, if you ask me, I would like to fight. I would say Jones, but we all know John Jones is going to fight anytime soon. So I'm not going to sit around and wait for him. That's not what should define my schedule. I want to fight and be a champion. I want to defend my title, but I just want to make it right for me. That's all. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. When you're champion, just kind of assume that you can fight all contenders. It doesn't matter the order of them. You're going to fight them. If they're legit contenders, then you fight them. It's not your choice. Yeah, he seems like he wants to fight, and I'm all for it. So I hope he gets fight soon. If not, I hope they have the Gane fight soon, so this can be all cleared up. All right, so Brandon Moreno, not sure who his first challenger will be. Said, I just want to fight in November. I've had one fight this year. Before all this, I fought 4 times in 1 year or something like that. Right now, the division is very weird. Askar Askarov has an injury, and I think he's the number 1 contender. He's out for a few months. Cody Garbrandt's not fighting until December. So maybe I need to wait a little bit and watch how the division moves. Wait for Alexandra Pantoja, Brandon Royval, maybe Alex Perez, or Matt Schnell. I don't want to say anything about Schnell because I love him, but he could be a possibility if he beats Alex Perez. If Moreno can't... never mind, sorry. So he says the trilogy with Figueiredo doesn't make sense. But right now, the division is so weird. Maybe the trilogy, to be real honest, to think about the trilogy is boring for me because we fought twice in the past. But at the end of the day, I'm a fighter. We can do that. Or we can just wait and see what happens in other fights. I don't think they should do the trilogy. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It doesn't make sense. He's right. I mean... if he really wants to fight and the trilogy is the only option, then go for it. But if I was him and I didn't need the money and I could wait it out, I would wait till new contenders arise. So he says, my challenge right now is to keep in shape and keep doing my job. I'm trying to do everything right now, and in August or September, I'll be ready. I'll start to get ready again. Everywhere I go, there's a lot of spotlights, a lot of interviews, and a lot of famous people. I know the responsibility, but I'm ready. I know I can build a legacy with my life. Yep, very well said. He's going to be a good champ. If he can defend his title, I'm all for the Moreno train. All right, Fedor Emelianenko sweepstakes over. Tim Johnson set as opponent for Bellator Moscow. Nice. Okay, so no quotes or anything, but so Fedor's going to fight Timothy Johnson. He's a good fighter, former UFC fighter, fought in Bellator. He's 2-2 in Bellator, but it's good because Fedor's also not on a winning streak, or Is he? I'm not sure, but Johnson's ranked number 2. He just fought a really good guy in Valentin Moldavsky in an interim title fight, so he's still relevant enough to give Fedor a challenge. So they're not throwing him a softball. They're not throwing him some random dude that's like 5-0 with like a few amateur fights under his belt. They're giving him a challenge. Fedor's got 2 more fights, so he's going to fight this one and probably one more in the States. Maybe a big fight. I don't know who, but it'll be big. So also on that card, it's Tyrell Fortune, Vitaly Minakov, which is going to be a good fight, and Usman Nurmagomedov. And it's October 23rd. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. You know, Fedor is the GOAT, in my opinion. Steroids are not. You know, he was in Pride where they didn't test, so we don't know if he was under any performance-enhancing drugs. But he's still got the skills. He's got the sambo skills. He's got the striking. He's got the ground and pound. He's a good fighter. So he's going to do well in this fight. I think, you know, Timothy Johnson's going to bring the pressure. But even if he gets Fedor down, I think he's going to... I think he's going to be able to get that submission. You know, Fedor's got great arm bars. And Timothy Johnson, he's beatable. He's very beatable. So I see Fedor winning. It's going to be favorable to Fedor. He's going to be in his home country. You know, Timothy Johnson's going to have to travel from the U.S. Hopefully he can get there a few weeks before, get rid of that jet lag. But, you know, whatever. All right. Next one. It shows how dirty you are. Could be response to Conor's drunk tweets. Excuse me. So Fedor was on Hotbox and with what's his name, Mike Tyson. So he says, I think this is him talking about Conor. I think he posted this tweet. He drunk too much. He told Tyson and Cejudo. He always deletes his tweets. All I think when he become all normal and he sees, oh, what I do, he deleted it. This is my opinion. And so yeah, the tweet, he was pretty much messing with his kids. He says only evil can talk about your father, your wife, your kids, your religion. If you're a normal human, you're never going to talk about this. Yeah, you're going to say, my opponent sucks, my opponent this. I think what Conor's been saying is it's been a little much. I mean, he's a winner. He's a sore loser. He hates losing, and he's been losing for a minute. He beat Cowboy, but other than that, he hasn't beaten anyone. So I think it's just him reacting very poorly to being, a sore loser. Let's see. He's just talking about how, how you shouldn't do this because of your kids and stuff like that, which is true. I mean, he has 3 kids. He can't be talking this smack. When you tweet something, it's going to stay on the internet, and it's not going to be good. People are going to screenshot it, and you're going to screw yourself. So I hope Conor just stops doing it. I hope he comes back and just maybe fights a couple money fights and just gets out of here. The time of Conor McGregor, unfortunately, I feel is over, especially with that plate in his leg. But I digress. All right. 2021 PFL Playoffs. One sees 4 matchups altered and 1 fight added. So Zeferino was set to take on Magomed Karimov, but he's injured. So Sadibou Sai is stepping in as an alternative. And he'll fight Curtis Millender. Cool. Nathan Schultz forced to withdraw. That's a shame. He was the former champion several times before he got beaten by I forget by who. Let's see. His opponent will now face Daryl Horcher, a former UFC fighter. All right, that sounds cool. OAB. I'm glad he found a new home. That's good. And Nikolai Sakin, or however you say it, is out of his fight with Brett Cooper. So Cooper now takes on Tyler Hill. And they added Elvin Espinoza and Hopiton Stewart. All right, cool. So that's probably an alternative, like an alternate in case someone else gets injured. So let's segue right into this fight card. All right, we have the PFL Playoffs this Friday, August 13th. Definitely check them out. You know, they don't get enough credit. They're a good organization, and they deserve all the credit in the world. You know, I love the season structure, but let's look at this card. So we have Rory McDonald versus Ray Cooper III, Sadabo Sai versus Magomed Karamov, and we have Clay Collard versus Raush Manfino. And a bunch, you know, there's not a lot of people we know on this card, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Rory McDonald, Ray Cooper III fight is going to be a war. Sadabo Sai, I've seen him fight. He's a great kickboxer. Magomed Karimov, great Dagestani wrestler. Clay Collard actually beat, what's his name? Anthony Pettis, former UFC champion, former WEC champion. I mean, the list goes on and on. Curtis Millender, I've seen him fight. He's good. Gleison Tebow, former UFC fighter. Olivier Abou-Mercier, former UFC fighter. Daryl Horcher, former UFC fighter. And I really don't know anyone else, but I love supporting the little guys. So definitely check them out. All right. Well, that about does it for the MMA Degenerates. Thank you so much for listening. Please, again, punch that subscribe button, punch that like button. Let's get these numbers up. As Matthew McConaughey, we're doing rookie numbers. Let's pump those numbers up. Have a good day, everyone, and be safe out there.